Jack Edwin here with Dan Kilbridge, and we are standing in front of the indoor Spartan, the new football press box and office complex here attached to Spartan Stadium before the Minnesota game. And Dan, I think Michigan State's big concern is it isn't a replay of the nightmare last year.
Right, that was a spooky Halloween for Spartan fans and the team alike. Adam Weber just went off. Had probably his best game of his college career. The four-year starter threw the ball all over the place, and Michigan State just didn't have an answer for the Gophers' passing attack. They'd like to keep that under control on Saturday.
Anytime a quarterback gets over 400 yards, the chances of winning are pretty good, and I think that's exactly what Michigan State ran into last year. Played its worst game of the year when Minnesota played arguably its best game of the year, and it still took a couple of bizarre calls for Michigan State to lose that football game.
Right, and that was really Keyshawn Martin's coming out party. His status is still uncertain for Saturday's game if there was any good to come from that game last year. I think one thing they're going to be focused on is the wheel route particularly. They had beat them all over the field last year, and it's something where I think D'Antonio is focused on it even more this year, which sounds a little strange. You don't think about one game maybe affecting how you do things for the next season, but it was such a problem and caused such a reaction from Spartan fans, it became a running joke throughout the season that that was something they really needed to focus on.
And you mentioned the players commenting on that, John Mish and others talking about how much attention they have given that, but that's been a problem for more than just the Minnesota game. So you even see it this year against Northwestern, some other games where that's been a problem.
Right, and I think they're hoping that this star linebacker position will be a big help on Saturday. It's a little different than the will linebacker they previously used in the sense that they're thinking pass first in certain situations as opposed to your traditional linebacker always thinking run first. John Mish said it's much better suited to face a team like Minnesota in this passing attack, so maybe Spartan fans will get a bigger idea of what that position is all about on Saturday.
Well, let's talk about this Minnesota team. Eric Decker was such a fixture for so long as a receiver, and of course he's gone to NFL. But you've got Adam Weber back, and he's got more than 10,000 career yards. Seems like he's been in Minnesota uniform about 7 or 8 years. But what about stopping him? What's the key?
Well, I think you have to get pressure. I mean, that's, with a four-year starter, he's going to have a pretty accurate throw, you would think, so you got to get after him and not let him have time to make those decisions. You also have to shut down their receivers. They've got two pretty good ones in DeJon McKnight and Marquise Gray. Not that Marquise Gray, different receiver, but they both have combined to catch some passes this year. So Spartan's secondary maybe hasn't seen a receiving core like this in the past few weeks. Iowa's was pretty good, but maybe a little different look from them. I think this is a game for the secondary to really get ready for what they're going to see in the next few weeks.
We mentioned Marvin McNutt throwing a ball last week, and he tried to do exactly that, overthrew his receiver, DJ Koulianos. But I think you could also look for Marquise Gray to try to throw a pass. He's a converted quarterback. I think Minnesota's going to need a few trick plays.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at this, they're a team in turmoil right now. Obviously, when you fire your coach midway through the season, that's never a good sign. They haven't won since the opener against Middle Tennessee State. They've lost 7 straight since then, and really just looking for anything to get going. Unfortunately, I think this is going to be a pretty tough game for them. The Spartans are going to be angry after that loss at Iowa, and kind of like we saw Iowa coming off the Ohio State loss, this might be similar circumstances, only this time in Michigan State's favor.
The most memorable part of the Tim Brewster era for a lot of Minnesota fans is going to be the fact that he confronted Brett Bielema at midfield and accused him of piling on, but a lot of teams have piled on to Gophers.
Yeah, Ohio State last week really took it to them, and you just see them giving up way too many points, way too many rushing yards. They're last in the conference against the run, so I think that's something Michigan State will definitely try to take advantage of. One thing you can't say about Minnesota, they've got a beautiful new stadium and some nice facilities.
What about Minnesota trying to run the football? They made a concerted effort with the shift in philosophy, going away from passing every down and trying to run the football. Can they do that against Michigan State?
You think they might be able to do it a little bit. DeLeon Eskridge is a pretty good back, and they've got 2 running backs similar to Michigan State. So that's something where Michigan State's defensive line needs to take pride and say, hey, we can't let these guys into the game and start to get a rhythm on the ground. They need to shut them down from the get-go. And you certainly don't want to get Minnesota having any ideas in the early going as far as pushing this team around.
Obviously, the win is the important thing, but I think it's a very important game psychologically for Michigan State. With the bye coming next week, they need to be able to show that they're past the Iowa game. They made all their mistakes in one game. They've thrown 4 interceptions going into that game. They threw 3 in about 15 minutes. So they can put that behind them. This is a great time to play Minnesota, followed by a bye week, then a home game against Purdue. before they would travel to Happy Valley.
Right, I think you're right. This is a game where Michigan State needs to focus on the little things, penalties, which hurt him in Iowa last week, and just kind of focus on your technique and really do some things sound that didn't happen against Iowa. Also, I think they need to get off to a good start in the first quarter. They have been killed in the first quarter in Big Ten play so far this year, and that's not a good sign when you're playing some teams like Penn State coming up. So they really need to focus on coming out strong.
Always a bad sign when the biggest story in your town is who's going to be your coach next year. That's the case in Minnesota. Some stories this week out of Knoxville, Tennessee, that Phil Fulmer would be interested in that job. Of course, he led the Vols to a national championship, but that's a story for 2011. Let's talk predictions.
Well, I think Michigan State is going to have a pretty good game here. Minnesota's seemingly running into a buzzsaw with Michigan State coming in off that tough loss. But I do think they will score. Weber is a great quarterback, so I'm going to say Michigan State 41, Minnesota 20.
You're not going to take the Gophers. You pick Michigan State every week. You're waiting for that. Okay. Well, we're close again. I'm going to go with a 41. I like that for Michigan State. I don't think Adam Weber is a great quarterback. I think he's a decent quarterback with a lot of statistics. I'll say 41-10 Spartans, getting ready for the stretch drive here in November and a chance for the first Big Ten championship in 20 years. Jack Ebling here with Dan Kilbridge. We're at Spartan Stadium. Press coverage for SpartanTailgate.com.